that our Prophet ﷺ stood up. And some said he was on his camel, some said he stood on his camel, and he gave a sermon, and he told Al-Abbas and Ali to quieten the crowd, and he told Abbas to repeat after him. And in another version, this is an interesting point that not many people know, in the Sunan of Abu Dawood, it says that one of the Sahaba said that we listened to the Prophet's khutbah and we could hear it even from our tents. So what appears to be the case then is that, yes indeed, some people did repeat, but also somehow the voice of the Prophet ﷺ was amplified. It was a miracle basically. Because the Sahabi is saying we could hear his voice from our tents, and that's not something that is normal. He's saying from the furthest tents we could hear the voice. So from this we get a miracle of the Prophet that somehow Allah Azza wa Jalla blessed his voice so that the people of Arafah could hear his voice directly. And he said, so this is the khutbah of Arafah, and this is the important khutbah that we know of, and in all likelihood probably other sentences he must have said them, but we only get this one paragraph which is the gist of it. He said, "O people, listen to me, for I know not whether I shall meet you again after this year." So he clearly has a premonition. I don't know if I'm going to be with you next year. Your blood and your money are haram for you, meaning you cannot kill each other, you cannot steal each other's money, just like this day has its hurma, its sanctity, in this month, in this land. So he abolishes the law of the jungle, which was rampant in Arabia. The survival of the fittest is gone. Nobody can steal or rape or plunder or kill other people anymore. The law of the jungle is gone. Just like today, now the Arabs, all of them, despite their paganism, they upheld the sanctity of the haram. We talked about this many times. They respected the haram. They respected the Kaaba. They respected the Hajj. They respected Dhul Hijjah. They respected the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. And no war was, no blood was shed. So our Prophet is saying, you understand how sacred this land is? How holy this place is? How blessed this day is? Each one of you's lives and properties is just as sacred as the Kaaba, is just as sacred as the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, is just as sacred as Ashhur al-Hurum. So he is striking the point home that all of this is gone. Then he said, verily, everything from the time of Jahiliyyah, تحت قدمي موضوع, which is beautiful. تحت قدمي, under my foot. And it's a very, very harsh way of saying, a very clear way of saying it's gone. It's obliterated. It's something of the past. Under my foot means what? It's trampled over, it's gone. تحت قدمي موضوع, eliminated. All of the ways of Jahiliyyah, everything. Your cultural ways, your rituals, your idol worship, your this and that, all of Jahiliyyah is gone now. This is such a comprehensive and powerful statement. Your way of life that was Jahiliyyah is now gone. Islam has come with something new. And then he says, all of the blood feuds from the days of Jahiliyyah are gone. All of your tribal warfares now, every tribe had a long list of enemies and a long list of allies written in blood. Every tribe had its feuds. Every tribe has its grievances. And this was what was preventing the tribes from uniting. What did our Prophet ﷺ say? All of these blood feuds are under my foot, obliterated. Meaning, khalas, gone. No other feud is going to be there. And he says, the first blood money that I obliterate is the blood money from my own family. The son of Rabi'a ibn al-Harith. Rabi'a ibn al-Harith ibn Abdul Muttalib. Al-Harith is the uncle of the Prophet. Rabi'a is his cousin, the son of Rabi'a. Al-Harith was the oldest of Abdul Muttalib. Abdullah was one of the youngest. So, story here, very brief footnote. One of the sons of Rabi'a was killed in a war between two tribes, between the Banu Sa'd and the Hudayl, and he was being raised by the Banu Sa'd, just like the Prophet was raised by the Banu Sa'd, Halima Sa'diyya. So they were raised by the Banu Sa'd. This boy was caught in the battle. He's an innocent boy, young boy, and he was killed by the tribe of Hudayl. So the Quraysh had a long feud against the Hudayl because of this. Okay, had blood money, 100 camels hadn't been paid, and they're willing to go to war. So this is something owed to the Quraysh. What does the Prophet ﷺ say? The first blood money that I obliterate is my own family's. He's being the role model here. This is money owed to him. What does he say? I'm not going to take that money. Okay? Then he says, verily, verily, the riba from the days of Jahiliyyah is under my foot abolished. It's all gone. And the first riba that I abolish is the riba of my uncle Al-Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib. Abbas was a wealthy man by now, and he was well known for giving lots of loans on riba. And when Islam came, riba was prohibited, but this was old news, so he was due lots of interest. Clear? He was due lots of interest. So the Prophet ﷺ said, the first money that I obliterate from riba is the money of my uncle Abbas. You pay him back what you got, not a penny more. SubhanAllah, this is being the role model, the leader by example. The leader by example. My family is going to benefit from this blood money, from this riba, but no more. So SubhanAllah, wallahi, what wisdom, what leadership. That I'm showing you, I'm serious about this. My own family will not benefit from riba. My own family will not benefit from the blood feud and the blood money. Then he said, and ittaqullaha fin nisa. Fear Allah, be conscious of Allah with regards to women and the rights of women. For you have taken them with the protection of Allah and made them permissible with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, in a society where women had no rights whatsoever, and this is something so important, brothers and sisters, that there was no reason for Islam to come and talk about women. There was no reason for our Prophet ﷺ to mention women in the farewell pilgrimage on the day of Arafah, in the most important khutbah he ever gave in his life. The most important khutbah he ever gave. And he has a paragraph about women. Think about that. Why? Because no society can flourish if its women are mistreated. No ummah can rise if its women are not treated with dignity and respect. So he said, fear Allah with regards to your women. Ittaqullah. Fear Allah with regards to your women. For basically Allah has given them to you. You have used His name to make them halal. So He's reminding them the nikah contract has in the name of Allah. And they are now with you under the protection of Allah, and nobody is watching you other than Allah. So fear Allah with regards to those women. Ittaqullah with regards to those women, and their right upon you is that they do not allow anyone to step on your bed, for that you would hate, meaning their right is that they must be faithful and loyal to you. That's what the point is, right? And he's using Arabic expression, stepping on their bed, you understand, doing things that would not be like flirtatious and whatnot. And he said, if they do something, meaning disobey you, you have the right to discipline them in a manner that is not painful. Now pause here. No doubt this phrase is problematic for some people of our time, and that's a separate tangent. The fact of the matter, in this society, when it was the norm that men would beat their wives without any question. This was the normal rule, and we learned this from so many narrations. What did our Prophet ﷺ say? If they do something of a serious consequence, then you may discipline them without any pain, without any injury. Now, whether this should be done in our times or not and whatnot, that's a separate discussion, and that's beyond the scope of my seerah lesson. I've given talks about that as well. And in our times, any type of discipline, to be honest, is something that is going to break a marriage rather than save a marriage. And this is something that I have talked about in other classes. The point is, our Prophet ﷺ set guidelines. Those guidelines might not be palatable to some people in the 21st century, but one needs to realize when this was said, wallahi, this is groundbreaking. This is something that is leaps and bounds above what the people are doing with their women and their wives. So and they have a right on you. So all of this is about women. They have a right on you. They have a right over you. Yes. That you give them their rizq and their nafaqah, their sustenance, in a manner that is suitable to you. Meaning, you are obliged to take care of them financially, and all of their needs in a manner that is in accordance. Bil ma'ruf. Bil ma'ruf means according to what you have, your wife and family shall live. So he stresses family rights in the khutbah al-wada'. And he talks about your money needs to be used upon your wife and your children in a manner that is equitable to you. Then he said, and I have left amongst you something that as long as you hold it, you will never go astray. The Kitabullah, the book of Allah, Jalla Jalaluhu. So this was the khutbah al-wada' that is in Arafah. We're going to get to another one tomorrow. And he said, you shall soon be asked about me, so what shall you say? So they replied, we will testify in front of Allah that you have conveyed the message and done your duty and that you were sincere. So he wants to be a clean conscience in front of Allah that, oh Allah, I have done my job. I have conveyed the message of Islam and I have done what you wanted me to do. And when they said this, he raised his hands to the sky, his fingers to the sky, and he said, Allahumma fashhad, Allahumma fashhad, Allahumma fashhad, 3 times. Oh Allah, bear witness that they have said, they have heard me, they've understood. So, oh Allah, bear witness. And why? Because Allah says in the Quran that on that day you will be a witness, and on that day every ummah will be asked about its witness or its messenger. So the messengers will be asked and the ummah will be asked. فَلَنَسْأَلَنَّ الَّذِينَ أُرْسِلَ إِلَيْهِمْ وَلَنَسْأَلَنَّ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. We shall ask the people who had the Prophet, we shall ask the prophets. Both will be asked. So our Prophet ﷺ wanted the ummah to respond on the day of judgment that, oh Allah, our Prophet ﷺ has done the job. So he's making them testify, and they all testified to this. And on the next day, on the day of An-Nahr, on the day of sacrifice, the 10th of Dhul Hijjah, he gave another khutbah on the 10th of Dhul Hijjah. And he said that verily, time has returned to its rightful place as it was on the day that Allah created the heavens and the earth. A year is 12 months, 4 of which are sacred, 3 of them are consecutive, Dhul Qa'dah, Dhul Hijjah and Muharram, and the Rajab of Mudar, which is between Jumada and Sha'ban. Pause here. What is he talking about, sallallahu alaihi wasallam? What he's saying is the following. The Quraysh had this weird custom of changing the years around whenever they wanted to. So if they wanted to go to war, and it happened to be one of the sacred months, they would say, you know what, let's just swap. So in our English calendar, because we'll understand, suppose January is sacred, February is not. They wanted to go to war in January, they'll say, okay, let's all pretend it's February now, and we'll do January next month. Okay? That's literally what they would do. I'm not exaggerating this. They would just swap the month. Now, obviously, after a few years, all the months are jumbled up. It's confused. After a few years of doing what, so now it gets a little bit confused. So, this year, the year that the Prophet did Hajj, he said, it is the qadr of Allah, it so happened, coincidence, Allah's qadr, that this year's calendar was exactly the way that it should be, just like according to the nizam, the tartib, the day that Allah created the heavens and the earth. Those same 12 months in the right order were in this year as well. In other words, keep the calendar, which is what the Muslims have done. Keep the calendar. They have kept the same calendar. So time has returned to the original as it was the day Allah created the heavens and the earth. These 4 months are sacred. Keep those 4 months there. Don't mess them around. So that's what that is about. Then he paused. Then he said, what month is this? And the people were shocked because that's such an obvious question. So they were too embarrassed to answer. So then he said, isn't this the month of Dhul Hijjah? And they said, yes. Then he was quiet. Then he said, what day is this? They were again like, this is such an obvious question. Maybe he's going to change the day. They didn't know what to answer. So he said, isn't this the day of An-Nahr? They said, yes. They said, what place is this? Again, they were like, this is too embarrassing. This is such an obvious question. So he said, this is Mina. This is the area of the Haram. So then he said, and again, the point being, all of the Arabs understood the sanctity of the Kaaba, Mina, the day, the time. They all understood how holy this was. So then he said the same message again, but in a different way, by asking them these questions, right? By asking them these questions to make them realize and think how holy is Mecca, how holy is Dhul Hijjah, how holy is the day of An-Nahr. So he said, verily, your lives and your money, now he added, and your honor. A'rad. You don't slander other people. You don't speak about other people's integrity. They are haram upon you, just as sacred as this month is upon you, and this day is upon you, and this place is upon you. Now, what is he doing in all of this? SubhanAllah, he is uniting the ummah. This is what he is doing here. Making the ummah one. Forget everything. You must all be one ummah under Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he said, so waylakum, woe to you. Do not return to being kuffar, killing one another. So don't return to that. Don't become kuffar after me. La tarju ba'di kuffara. Don't become kuffar after me. So he is saying those were such ridiculous, pagan, evil ways. Don't go back to that. And astaghfirullah, but look at the Muslim ummah now and what it is doing. And our Prophet, the last point he is saying, don't kill one another. Don't go. This is the ways of the kuffar, it's not the ways of the Muslims. And he said, let the one who is present go and inform the one who is absent. Go and tell people about this khutbah, so perhaps the one who hears understands better than the one who heard it for the first time. And in one version in Tirmidhi, he said, إن الشيطان قد يئس أن يعبد في هذه الجزيرة. Shaitan has given up hope of being worshipped in this peninsula, in this land. Arabia will not return to idolatry, pause here, footnote, until the days of Dajjal. That is another thing. The very last generations after Dajjal, yes. But in the middle interim, Arabia will not return to idolatry. It's not going to find those idols being resurrected. Shaitan has given up hope of being worshipped in your land. He is still worshipped in other lands, but not in this land. But what is he hoping now? But he is hopeful in you obeying him in matters that you consider trivial, sins and other things. That's what his hope is, that you're going to obey him on other things. And in one version he said, فِي التَّحْرِيشِ بَيْنَكُمْ. What he's hoping for is to rile you up so that you fight one another. This is what Shaitan wants, disunity, to fight one another. That's where he's optimistic, and he might get you guys. He's not going to get you from an idol anymore. You're not going to be worshipping an idol as an ummah. Now this doesn't mean no Muslim will ever become an idol worshipper. It means the ummah as a whole will not return to idolatry, which is the case, alhamdulillah. The bulk of the ummah is not worshipping idols, and it will not worship idols until the day of judgment. And he said, the famous hadith as well, that al-Muslimu man salima al-Muslimuna min lisanihi wa yadihi. The Muslim, the real Muslim, is the one from whose hands and tongue other Muslims are safe from. And the mu'min is the one whom the people aminu, trust with their money and their property. And the muhajir is the one who has left the sins from Allah, committing from Allah. And the mujahid is the one who is striving in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in a hadith in Tirmidhi, we learn from it. All of these are different hadith, by the way, that one sahabi is hearing something, he reports it from the Hajjatul Wada' and the khutbah on Mina. And in Tirmidhi, the hadith says, the famous hadith, which we say all the time, it was actually said in Hajjatul Wada', that fear Allah and pray your 5 prayers and fast your month of Ramadan and give your zakah and obey your rulers, and you shall enter the Jannah of your Lord. Meaning, concentrate on the arkan of Islam. Be good Muslims, you will enter Jannah. And in the Musnad of Imam Ahmad, in the famous hadith as well, that all of us have memorized and have heard since we were children, and it is an authentic hadith that our Prophet ﷺ said, all of you are from one, and your Father is one. لا فضل لعربي على عجمي ولا عجمي على عربي ولا لأحمر على أسود ولا أسود على أحمر إلا بالتقوى. This is an authentic hadith in Muslim Imam Ahmad from the Hajjatul Wada'. And this is completely revolutionary. As I have said many times before, no philosopher, thinker, intellectual leader in the history of humanity had ever said all humans are equal. Nobody. Every society thought we are better. Whether it was ethnicity, whether it was race, they always thought we are better. And the first person to say this, and clearly this is from the divine, because this is not something that the son of Abdul Muttalib would want to say if he were simply the son of Abdul Muttalib. The person who has the most noble lineage amongst all of the Arabs, he is the one saying, it doesn't matter whether you're Arab or Ajam, whether you're white or black, it's all irrelevant except with taqwa. That is revolutionary for humanity, and now we are still struggling with this concept, but we know it's right. In our world, we know it's right. But we're still struggling with this concept. 14 centuries ago, the first human to ever say it so bluntly was our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So all of these are various narrations. So by the way, when we see that big poster about Hajjatul Wada, realize that that poster is a conglomeration of all of these lectures. And the fact of the matter is, he gave a khutbah in Arafah, he gave a khutbah on the 12th, he gave khutbah on the 11th, he gave a khutbah on the 10th, and all of them put together we get the big poster that we see. And there's nothing wrong with that, just realize that's not one khutbah. He actually gave many smaller khutbahs.